Now, good morning, our viewers, and welcome to our today's discussion, where I want to discuss about President Uhuru's Kenyatta tactical approach uh, in playing the 2022 uh, election. Now, I have to admit that up to now, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has done very well in terms of how he plays his card come 2022 general election. I'm going to point out 5 ways or 5 reasons that makes me believe and will make you also believe that President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is so far doing well in as far as uh, playing his cards to ensure that his person or the person that he's supporting is able to win the 2022 general election. But before we do that, I want to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you who has been a part and parcel of this channel and has been following our discussion. I want to request you to give this video a thumbs up or as soon as you view it, because through that you are helping us build this thing to become one big thing in future. For those who are our new subscribers, as soon as you watch this video, kindly subscribe to this channel so that anytime we upload any video, YouTube is able to automatically notify you. Now, let's go back to our subject of discussion where I was talking about President Uhuru's Kenyatta tactical approach. I want to say this, that if it were in the game of football, then we'll say up to now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has been able to maintain everything in as far as the possession is concerned, in as far as display is concerned, in as far as character and determination among his team players. Now, before I talk about this, just a few days ago, last week, there was an opinion poll that was released by the Star newspaper. And in this opinion poll, they happened to say that Raila Amolo Odinga has already surpassed William Ruto. And this opinion poll was giving Raila Amolo Odinga 47% and William Samoei Ruto 43%. Now, in one of my discussions that I did some time back, I was talking about who are the sponsors of this opinion poll, who are the people behind the opinion polls. And therefore, to me, these opinion polls must have been influenced by one side or the other. How? Now, it is very risky for somebody to take a lead at this particular time. And I think if it were, or if it is the Ruto's brigade who engineered this opinion poll, then it may work for the advantage. However, if it is the Azimio group or Raila Amolo Odinga group which engineered this opinion poll, then it may work to their disadvantage. I can put it clear as early as now. Politics is all about perception. And the perception you create on people will make them think or believe in what you're talking about at a given period of time. The newspaper with the title, Raila now catches up or Raila already has surpassed the Deputy President William Samoei Ruto, would appear to steer some group of people. It will come with a lot of excitement. And in such a case, politically, his supporters may tend to relax a little bit, thinking that the game is done. However, as they approach the 2022 general election, they may not still have the morale, the energy to go forward, leading to a very few number of voter turnout, and this may affect Azimio election. So if this thing was engineered by Ruto, I'll take you back to 2016 in what happened in US. In the 2016 US poll, the opinion poll gave Hillary Clinton around 75 to 90%. Whenever the opinion polls were out, Hillary Clinton was leading by about 75 to 90%. And Donald Trump was following way behind with around 40, at times 50%. Now, what happens is that when one is way ahead or in vote or in opinion, what happened is that voters tend to relax. And when they tend to relax, when it comes to the election day, the voter turnout is normally low. This is what happened even during the change of the regime in Kenya 2002 when Rainbow Coalition was taking over. Moi thought that he had the numbers, but at the end of the day, people relaxed and they were not able to vote for him. It has happened 2007. It happened 2007 again when Raila Amolo Odinga was a leading candidate, and as soon as the opinion polls were putting him in front, his supporters assumed that the game is done, and some of them did not even go to vote. And by the time the election were being held, I don't want to go into that, you know what happened. So in what is explained as inverse relationship in political game or in political wave, inverse relationship explains that if one's graph shoots time before the election, chances are it's going to drop. And as I said in my previous discussion, if you are a politician, you may not like to see your graph going high when you still have, or when we still have a lot of time before the election. Because you like it or not, your graph will reach the climax, and from there it will start dropping, it will start going down. So this is a risky game for Azimio if they are the one who engineered the polls, because it will mean that for the next 2 to 3 months, their graph would have reached the apex, and the only option they will have is to start coming down. And if it was engineered with the Kenya Kwanza Brigade and the Deputy President group, then it's a good tactical approach that may change and shift the waves. Again, if this was done by the Deputy President group, he might have done it specifically so that he can again stimulate and mobilize more voters, having realized that the ground is shifting. The best way is to show that he has dropped, so that those people who are backing him to come up again and start mobilizing each other to ensure that they are curious and cautious to raise the number of votes that they are expected to raise or to give to the Deputy President. I've said previously that in our community they say there can be clouds without rain, but there cannot be smoke without fire. Whenever you see a cloud of smoke, or whenever you see smoke, no, there is fire somewhere. But you can see clouds and still don't expect it to rain. So last week, when the Deputy President was being endorsed as the Kenya Kwanza flag bearer, he made a number of statements. And I pity supporters of the Deputy President and his brigade as a whole, and especially the ignorant Kenyans who are not able to understand the dynamics of politics. If I look at how the Deputy President presented himself in this discussion, I feel a lot of gaps in between, and these gaps may end up painting him in a negative way. First of all, I would say the approach that the Deputy President used in his speech was somehow an approach that could not connect with his people, especially the grassroots people who he normally refers to Mama Mboga and Boda Boda. Why am I saying this? The Deputy President appeared to be a very bitter person in his discussion, and from communication skills, the approach that he adapted in presentation was what we call the framing effect. Framing effect is a style where you create a context in your explanation, whereby the frame defines how people will perceive the information. Because when you look at most of the things the Deputy President was talking about, these are things that happened while he was in government. He talked about capture of the police, he talked about the judiciary, he talked about the economy. These are things that happened while he was in government. But basically, framing effect is a choice based on information rather than substance. It's a cognitive bias, in short. Framing effect is a cognitive bias that is based on information rather than the substance, in that it influences much, or it is influenced much by how the information is worded more than the information itself. So the weight you put in the words will make people, would stimulate people to act with a lot of bitterness from how you placed the words. However, the whole thing of the deputy president is like an irony of what he's talking about, because in 2009, when Deputy President William Samoei Ruto was Minister of Agriculture, there was some maize that was brought in, I don't know, from Mexico, and a lot of story, a lot of narrative behind it. A maize scandal that was later to be sold to the public with the National Cereal and Produce Board seal. However, when you talk, or if you can remember very well, the National Cereal and Produce Board chair by then, Kyoko Mangeli, if I'm not wrong, was on record. There was not cereal board, it was the CEO of Kenya Bureau of Standard. He's on record of having advised the parliament not to allow the maize in the country, saying that it's going to cause a lot of harm than good to the public. However, the maize was supplied under the watch, or under the watch of the deputy president as the minister for agriculture. So my question is that where would the deputy president gather the audacity, or would he have the moral authority to speak about agriculture when he messed the agriculture system? Today, the cases of cancer in the country has increased tremendously, more than double or 3 times what was there by 2010. The deputy president talked about the economy, and when he talked about the economy, another thing that you can remember, his core principle, Musalia Mudavadi, in 1993, when he was the Minister of Finance, it was a situation that for the first time the country witnessed the highest level of inflation. In the history of Africa, for the first time, inflation for the first time reached 100%, believe me or not. Kenya became one of the largest, or one of the country with the most ghost companies in the history of Africa. You remember the Goldenberg scandal. That is one of the biggest dragon that has eaten into the economy up to date. What we are facing today in the economy, when Mudavadi is telling you about the theft that is going on in the government, is just an ice in the ocean. But the story began in 1993 when the inflation went higher, up to 100%. So basically, the president is the best tactician as we speak. How has the president managed to be the best tactician? Number one, as a tactician, the president has been able to bring Kalonzo Musyoka on board, and the Kalonzo Musyoka votes. If you can remember very well what happened in 2007, if Kalonzo Musyoka would have supported one side directly, the game would have ended very early. Unfortunately, Kalonzo Musyoka decided to go alone, and this stretched, leading to whatever happened in 2007. You remember it very well. So the bringing of Kalonzo Musyoka on board with the number of votes from Ukambani region, this would ensure that Azimio delivers, or Azimio is able to get the 50+1 that is required. I can assure you the game is already done with Kalonzo on table. The support that he will get from Ukambani will seal the win as early as possible. Number two, the president has embarked on talking to the people about the promises he made and what he has delivered. The president's scorecard can be above average, especially when you talk about infrastructure. He has tried his best, especially being in an office that you are facing opposition all through. And therefore, his scorecard that he's using today, like the NMS, among other project infrastructure, roads, and communication network, among others, are one of the key issues that will help the president to show to the people that if he would have gotten the support that is required, then he would have done better. The latest being the JKA super highway that links JKA to Westlands. Number 4, the president, I have to admit, he has a very persuasive language. President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is one of the politicians that will talk to the people and you will feel what he's talking about and he will convince you on what he's talking about. And if the president happens to make a step and get into Mount Kenya and use the language that he's using to campaign, I want to assure you in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, things will be totally different. If you look at the body language, the way the president is presenting himself, the way he argues issue, while he may not be able to win quite a number, but he'll be able to convince a certain percentage, which, remember, what Azimio needs from Mount Kenya is just at least 30%. So even if they reach 38 or 40%, that will be a plus for the president. They need 30%. Out of the 4.7 million votes found in Mount Kenya, the president needs to get only a minimum of 100,000 votes. But as we speak, things are different. He has been able to collect quite a number of supporters, which we will wait until the last minute to see if he will be able to convince and to get the votes to help Raila to win election. Lastly but not least, the visit that he made with Raila, the visit that he planned for Raila to meet the UK government members. This meeting, to me, it has been successful. It has been successful because as opposed to his competitor, President Raila Amolo Odinga was able to meet some of the government officials, and actually this was confirmed by the US government. Much as he did not manage to meet the US, this was confirmed by the UK government, much as it was not, he was not able to meet the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson. This was a plus to him as opposed to his competitor who went there. And unfortunately, every country made it clear that he went there as a tourist and they had nothing to do with it. This was a plus to President. And so far, he scorecard very good. And he has managed to get the Kenya Kwanza hands down. And that's why you'll hear now the Deputy President has started complaining and pleading with the President to leave Raila to campaign himself and for himself and alone, because he has realized things are not working his way. So up to there, I want to thank you for following up on today's discussion. I want to promise you to have another critical analysis of the same this Wednesday. And our new subscribers, just to remind you, subscribe to our channel so that anytime we upload any video, YouTube will be able to notify you in advance. For any question, any contribution, any addition, or any topic that you wish us to look at, kindly just chat with me on the chat board so that I get to interact with you. Otherwise, have a nice week. Thank you.